Henan authorities detain rural bank depositors under guise of counter-terrorism. Foreign company in Shanghai relocates to Vietnam, sparking employee strike. Significant shrinkage in luxury markets. Is China's middle class collapsing? Why foreigners who endured COVID lockdown in Wuhan are now saying they've had enough. CCP announces unilateral visa exemption for Switzerland, faces criticism as really cheap. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Henan authorities detain rural bank depositors under guise of counter-terrorism. On January 13, dozens of Henan rural town bank depositors went to Shrinkage, Henan, to demand their deposits. They were intercepted at the high-speed railway station, had their phones confiscated, and were violently pushed onto prepared buses and illegally detained in a hotel. Video footage from the scene shows a group of unidentified individuals in black at the high-speed railway station square, using ID cards to distinguish depositors. Depositor Yang Xiong, pseudonym at Shrinkage North High-Speed Railway Station. They confiscated the phones of each passenger in the name of counterterrorism drills, scanned them, and checked them one by one using QR codes and ID cards. Several buses took us depositors away. There were probably hundreds of people at the railway station square, wearing assault uniforms with a smiley face badge on their chests. The traffic police blocked the roads. Recently, depositors received calls and text messages from the Shrinkage Intermediate People's Court in Henan, urging them to register for a fraudulent program to refund the case. After some depositors registered, their bank accounts were emptied, and they deeply regretted it. The program was temporarily closed after being reported but reopened later. Depositor Wang Yi, pseudonym Henan courts introduced a fraudulent program for refunding the case, requiring all depositors to admit their involvement in illegal fundraising scams. Only after orally committing to refund a small amount would they be allowed. Once accepted, they could zero out our bank accounts, and our deposits would be truly gone. Thousands of depositors are very anxious and went to Shrinkage, Henan, on the 13th to seek justice. 2 years ago, 5 village town banks in Henan and Anhui faced difficulties with withdrawals. Depositors with Union Pay cards from outside the province with deposits exceeding 500,000 yuan, approximately $70,000, are still unable to withdraw. Depositors have repeatedly gone to Henan to demand their deposits but to no avail. An anonymous depositor revealed that during the illegal detention, representatives came to each room to negotiate. Anonymous depositor, they go room by room to deceive people. If you showed a high interest, they asked for your detailed information, and then they left. This time, several sisters from Shaoxing really felt that they couldn't go on and were considering suicide. Several people were really going to commit suicide. I desperately tried to persuade them, telling them not to go to extremes. Kai, a depositor in her late 60s, and her husband worked hard all their lives, saving 800,000 yuan, approximately $110,000. However, they haven't been able to withdraw for 700 days, leading to a difficult life. She now survives by picking up scrap, suffers from leg pain, uses a wheelchair, can't afford medical treatment, and appeals to the Henan government for assistance. It is understood that on November 7 of last year, the Henan Rural Commercial Bank, formerly known as the Rural Credit Cooperative Union of Henan Province, was established. The troubled rural town banks in Henan, facing difficulties with withdrawals, will become its branches. Due to the unresolved withdrawal issue, the opening was delayed, and employees of Henan rural town banks have been unpaid, facing unbearable hardships. Foreign company in Shanghai relocates to Vietnam, sparking employee strike. Users on the social platform Douyin have revealed that, due to the economic downturn in China, Shanghai Dongyang Plastic Products Company, Limited, a foreign-funded enterprise with over 20 years of operation in Shanghai, is relocating to Vietnam. However, no agreement has been reached on compensation standards with the workers, leading to a series of strikes that began on January 10. The employees are protesting against the termination of their labor contracts and what they perceive as insufficient compensation in accordance with regulations. Videos circulating on social media depict large groups of workers gathered inside the factory premises. Established in May 2002, Dongyang Group's Shanghai Dongyang Plastic Products Company, Limited is a wholly foreign-owned enterprise founded by Dongyang Group in China. The company, situated in the Dongjing Industrial Zone of Songjiang District, primarily engages in the production and sales of precision plastic molds and electrical precision plastic accessories. It employed over 500 workers and maintained branches in Dongguan, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Hong Kong. On January 10, Dongyang Plastic Company announced that it had entered the liquidation phase and would soon initiate the company cancellation process. The company decided to terminate contracts with employees before January 18, 2024, and compensate them in accordance with the labor law, offering 1 month's salary for each year of service. The announcement further specified that employees who signed the legal compensation scheme before 6 p.m. on January 17 and assisted with the related procedures would receive an additional month's salary as a reward. The company also issued a warning that any illegal or disciplinary actions causing harm to the company during this period would be subject to legal action. However, the employees rejected this compensation scheme. They argued that most of them began their employment in their 20s and are now in their 40s. Making it challenging for them to secure new employment opportunities. Additionally, their insurance payments remain incomplete, and they believe they deserve better compensation. Regarding the workers' strike, some internet users commented, "After decades of operation, the factory is leaving, it's heart-wrenching. What kind of grim future would drive people to cause such a significant commotion willingly?" Mr. Yi, a mainland Chinese citizen, stated, "The current trend is for foreign companies to relocate to Southeast Asian countries. The existing system lacks freedom and is burdened with numerous regulations, leading foreign enterprises to leave in large numbers. This phenomenon doesn't only apply to foreign companies, many domestic enterprises are also shifting to Vietnam." Significant shrinkage in luxury markets. Is China's middle class collapsing? Recently, reports from various sources in mainland China indicate a significant downturn in the luxury car, watch, and piano markets, signaling a collapse in China's high-end consumption. According to an article by the Chinese self-media outlet Bakugio tracking on January 15, the luxury car market in China is experiencing substantial price reductions and promotions, with notable sales contraction. Examples include more than a 20% discount on the BMW 735, a 100,000 yuan, approximately $14,000, discount on the mid-size version of the Mercedes-Benz GS, Audi Q7 opting for a direct price reduction, and an overall price slash in the entire Porsche series. Porsche's sales data for the third quarter of 2023 showed a 40% plummet in the Chinese market, marking the only market worldwide where the brand has declined. The second-hand luxury car market is faring even worse, witnessing a collapse in car prices across all brands. Even second-hand Porsche 992 prices have plummeted to the extent that dealers are hesitant to accept them, opting for consignments only. The article cites a veteran second-hand car dealer who describes 2023 as the most challenging year in the market in over a decade, with a substantial decrease in sales and a significant rent increase. Luxury watches are also facing a complete collapse in 2023, with both transaction volume and prices dropping since May. The article provides examples such as Rolex Green Gold, initially priced at 1 million yuan, approximately $140,000, dropping to below 500,000 yuan, approximately $70,000, at the lowest point, and currently valued at 550,000 yuan, approximately $77,000. Pianos, as classic high-end consumer products, are struggling to find buyers, with prices plummeting from 50,000 to 60,000 yuan, approximately $700 to $8,400 to as low as 5,000 yuan, around $700. Publicly available information shows that in the first 3 quarters of last year, Zhujiang Piano's revenue plummeted by 31%, and its net profit plummeted by 94%. Hailuan Piano's revenue continued to fall by 22%, and its net profit fell by 25% based on last year's sharp decline. The article attributes the collapse of the high-end consumer market to the collective downturn of small and medium-sized businesses and the urban middle class, who previously played a crucial role in sustaining the market bubble. The main driver behind this situation is the 2023 plunge in China's real estate and stock markets, coupled with widespread wage cuts and layoffs, resulting in a devaluation of middle-class assets and a substantial decline in income, shattering the illusion of wealth and eroding consumer confidence. Why foreigners who endured COVID lockdown in Wuhan are now saying they've had enough. On January 15, it was reported that some foreigners who endured 3 years of strict COVID control in China are now leaving, despite the Chinese authorities' efforts to reopen. Reasons cited include growing caution and even hostility towards foreigners and concerns that their lockdown experiences might repeat. As these foreigners leave, tensions between China and the West intensify, raising suspicions that this may impact people's daily attitudes towards them and heightening concerns about national security. For Sophie Redding, a 30-year-old British physical education teacher at an international school in Wuhan, where the coronavirus was first discovered, various factors led her to decide to return to the UK last month. Redding's partner also faced visa issues in Wuhan, and she began to feel that the city, once considered home, became less welcoming. Redding shared, "Suddenly, strangers started telling me to go home. People saw me in the elevator and waited for the next one. When the DD driver I called realized I was a foreigner, they refused to take me." While the situation eased after the initial outbreak, Redding felt like an outsider due to her experiences. Over the past 3 years of the COVID pandemic, disappointment with China's strict anti-epidemic policies has led to an outflow of foreigners. These policies imposed strict restrictions on domestic and international travel, including months-long lockdowns in Shanghai, the city with the largest international population. Data from China's National Bureau of Statistics shows that before November 2020, the number of foreigners living in Shanghai had declined by over 20% in the preceding 10 years, reaching 164,000, while Beijing saw a 40% decrease to 63,000. Although these are the latest available data, it is expected that 2 more years of strict pandemic control will lead to more foreign residents leaving. While the recent news of foreigners leaving China in the past year is mere hearsay, it suggests that China may struggle to attract individuals and companies from abroad. Other scars left by the era of zero COVID in China are still lingering. An American art teacher who worked in Shanghai for 13 years, originally from Russia, left the city, citing concerns that authorities might again impose strict controls on people's actions and activities. James Zimmerman, a partner at international law firm Perkins Coie and former chairman of the American Chamber of Commerce in China, stated that factors behind individuals leaving China, which he described as a combination of economic fatigue, compliance risks, and geopolitical tensions, are also driving away businesses. He said, "While China may be a huge and attractive consumer market, due to a series of geopolitical issues, foreign companies are reconsidering whether to stay in the Chinese market or expand their operations in China." The COVID pandemic has prompted some companies dependent on Chinese manufacturers to diversify their supply chains by looking for alternatives in other countries. CCP announces unilateral visa exemption for Switzerland, faces criticism as really cheap. According to a report by CCP's official media CCTV, China and Switzerland have agreed to upgrade the China-Switzerland Free Trade Agreement, and a new round of strategic dialogues between Chinese and Swiss foreign ministers will be held. The report stated, China will grant Switzerland a unilateral visa waiver, and Switzerland will provide more visa convenience for Chinese citizens and Chinese enterprises investing in Switzerland. This report sparked heated discussions among mainland Chinese netizens, most of which were sarcastic and critical. Although related topics were trending, most comments were censored. Under the Weibo account of China News Network, associated with this report, there were 1,069 comments, but only 11 were visible. Some netizens directly criticized it, saying, "Is it cheap or not? Convenient for transferring assets, and to prevent Switzerland from disclosing officials' assets, they're going all out." Some netizens analyzed the CCP's motive behind this move, saying, they probably hope to boost tourism with this. The domestic circulation is not working anymore, the wolf warrior diplomacy is not working anymore. Now they're starting to soften, and because Switzerland is most famous for its banks. What are they for? Through Switzerland, following Schengen rules, many people and things can leave. Sign a unilateral most favored nation agreement, and a lot of things belonging to domestic people can safely leave. In return, their descendants can still live extravagantly, even if something happens later. On November 24 last year, the CCP announced the expansion of the range of unilateral visa waivers for France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Malaysia, for ordinary passport holders from December 1, 2023, to November 30, 2024. At that time, the German media Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung said that China had not implemented such a visa waiver policy for Europeans before. In recent years, the CCP has implemented wolf warrior diplomacy abroad, while domestically, it has arbitrarily arrested people using the pretext of national security and even detained foreigners on the grounds of spying, causing a wave of exodus of foreign capital, with fewer foreigners willing to come to mainland China. The current unilateral measures in Beijing can be seen as an act of economic despair aimed at attracting tourists and businessmen to China, which is facing economic challenges. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.